We had all the music recorded except the guitar solos. All the guitars and the bass and the drums were done.
We were like, yes, we got some great music, this is awesome, this is the heaviest stuff we've ever done. We felt so happy about it.
And we were on to vocals at that point.
Got into the studio and, no one said anything about when I did rehearse. I'd come up and do a new song and then everyone was like, sounds awesome.
He was up there singing and he looked like he was working pretty hard, but we couldn't hear him.
And we started laying this stuff down. It seemed like everyone had a different idea and they didn't like what I was laying down.
And of course that was much more apparent when you're hearing them in the studio setting, where you can really nitpick and define it and hear everything perfect, as opposed to hearing it up at the practice room, which obviously we didn't hear.
They didn't like the vocal phrasing. It's just strange. It kind of was a weird session.
Musically, I think the guys were writing more technical stuff.
They were pretty much pushing the envelope as far as that went.
They wanted to see the vocals go in a different direction.
And at that point, we took them aside and said, you got to change something or do something with like the delivery and maybe some of the lyrics.
We wanted to rewrite some of these songs that we felt that we could write the lyrics, maybe the patterns better because we are the ones that wrote the music.
It took me 7, 8 months. They were just looking at it very fleetingly and kind of not as important as how I was really thinking about it.
That was really kicking him in the head basically because he never heard that before. Nobody has ever told him, well, I'm going to write lyrics, for these songs now. He was the main lyric writer.
I wanted to sing about my own feelings about things. I didn't want to sing about someone else's feelings.
Chris was being, fairly adamant that he wanted to keep things the way he had them.
He was not willing to work with us, which we felt like, well, we're a band and we all should be happy here, and if we're not, this is how the band started. It's always been a democracy. Everyone's got their say, and if certain things aren't working, well, it's not one person's band.
I didn't go into the practice room and say, oh, hey, you know what? I like that. I don't like that guitar part. I think you should play it like this.
I would hate to really love something and not be able to use it. And I would hate for the other guys to really love something and not be able to use it. And that was maybe the problem with Chris. There were certain things that he loved that we did not want him to use.
I'm a really proud person. I work really hard at what I do. I'm a bit of a perfectionist, and it's really, at that time, it's very difficult for me to think that anyone could do something that was better than what I was going to come up with, and I was holding my guns.
When you're really sure of your artistic vision, you want things to be your way. And I think that was maybe the problem with him, is that his vision of the way things would go, he needed it to have it be that way, and that wasn't necessarily the way me or maybe Paul wanted it to be, or the other guys.
Being young at the time, I was just pretty pissed off about being told what to do. That's not why I got into death metal. It was more of a freedom thing and more of being against everything else that where things were told, you had to do this, you had to do that. No, that's why I got in the band. Now the guys I'm with are kind of telling me those things. Well, it was like I was almost self-destructing because I was like against the one people I was with.
When I listened to Eaten Back to Life, our first album, and I listened to Barnes' vocals on that, I go, man, that's awesome. I mean, you could tell he was singing from the heart. He was passionate. I mean, he wants to be there. He loves these songs. He wants to sing them. I didn't feel that in the latter years.
It obviously built up over a long period of time.
I just kept getting a little bit weirder and weirder between all of us.
I ain't gonna lie and say that we got along the whole time and then he got along with the rest of the band the whole time. That would be bullshit. There were problems, but there were also plenty of good times too.
We always had fun. He was just a fun guy to be around. We had a good time. We would laugh.
Come on, let's see what we got here.
They'd been together a long time and they were good friends. And there's personality issues and things like that outside of just the musical space.
The real personality difficulties happened way back, like around Butchered at Birth time.
Obviously, I've had some problems over the years with him personally, which are, I'm not going to get into, but it didn't help his situation, of course. It wasn't like we had some tight-knit brotherly thing going at this point anymore. It was very much us against him kind of a thing.
Because he was the front man. He did a lot of the business. He was the face of Cannibal Corpse at the time. Most of the interviews, I think, were done by him.
Magazines and media wanted to interview me because they were very intrigued with the subject matter that I was putting across in the lyrics.
Being front man and doing all the interviews, probably a little jealousy on our part built up over the years, and we had our vision of what the band should be and what it should evolve to, and he had another idea of kind of making it his own thing.
He kind of maybe was put up on a little bit of a pedestal there, so I think a little bit of ego came into that, and when the band said, we'd like to make these changes, it wasn't well received by him at all.
Things were so tense and at a boiling point.
Chris went away. He had already had the schedule to go away and do a tour with 6 Feet Under.
And I think Scott really couldn't believe I did it, but I just said, fuck it, I'm just going out on tour. I'll finish this when I get back.
6 Feet probably started a year or two before.
Did the first 6 Feet Under demo. That was sometime in early '94 probably.
Nobody had really talked about doing side projects at that point.
He wanted to do more like he's doing with 6 Feet Under.
I remember sitting there writing the first couple songs of that demo lyrically and thinking, man, these things are pretty cool. I mean, I think the fans would like this if this ever came out.
We had some downtime and it gave us time to think, and we're like, maybe this is the time to change. He's got this other thing going on. We're not happy with how he's sounding now. If we part company with him now, then he's got something else that he can do, so we're not totally leaving him hanging. I called up Chris and told him the situation.
He just said, I think it's best for us. We want to go into a different direction. I was like, yeah, no problem. That's fine by me.
He's like, oh, that's okay. I was going to quit anyway. We didn't argue or anything when we were on the phone, talking it over.
I got off the phone and I swear to God, I was like, whew. I was like, all right, man. I feel so fucking relieved. I'm out of that mess.
And their tour had just done kick-ass. He just had a great tour with 6 Feet. So it didn't seem to bother him that much at all to leave.
It all happened for a reason, and it was all a path that someone put me on as far as I'm concerned in my whole spiritual journey as far as this whole thing goes.